scheme of things, we would have to allot 55,730 out of the general fund to actually make our budget correct.
And I think you've already got the line item there, there's like 30,000 in it right now that says transfer to other funds, right? You just got to increase that.
Oh, you're talking about little slushy. Well, that's kind of what my question was, because at this new appearance that we had here, 101,000,502 with 100,000, that wasn't something that had been previously discussed, that just showed up in this version of the budget that we were presented. And if that's already coming from general funds, it would seem like that could just be boosted the appropriate amount. I don't even know what the idea was behind it, it just showed up to boost the revenues up 100,000. Assuming the intent is general fund, but I don't know.
And then I think you need to show in those three funds that I just called out.
Yeah.
The revenue.
Take it over to revenue, yeah, I would agree.
So how much do we need to increase it by? I'm sorry, I missed it.
55,730 would be safe, so let's say 56.
56,000?
Yes. That would bring us out of the negatives on the three accounts.
And that's from general?
From general, and you're talking that 101, that 100,000 you were just saying?
Well, that's already been put in there as 100,000. What he's saying is that it has to be put in revenues for those funds.
Right. Those three funds need to have a line item.
All right. So I'm cool with moving the 56,000 to zero these accounts out.
However, we're still in public hearing.
Sorry.
Well, we're still in public hearing.
It was never closed.
Maybe the 101, 101, 802 legal. You guys can explain why the people's money. Original budget was 25,000, amended budget was 70,000 on lawyer fees, and now we're raising it to 40,000, $15,000 fund in legal fees. MTA offers legal to you guys, but once again, constantly calling attorneys. We have a transparency resolution that two people have to be on the call. Evidently, the spending's still a lot.
Well, and TA's legal doesn't help with lawsuits, first and foremost. And if you ask any technical questions, they'll say you need to consult your township attorney. You can only go so far with them. They give you basic information first off. Secondly,
Anyone
there's
can
been a lot
contest
of.
to it, it's usually contradictory to who you talk to. And I think everybody on the board here can agree with that. And the ultimate is,
You gotta remember, when we were talking, it was at like the 61,786, we also did a special assessment district, and that legal was wrapped into that, and part of that legal was reimbursed underneath the lawsuit, and then we had the adjustment to make accordingly.
But we're still seeing, Charlie, if you go back to 24-25, 17,575.89.
Oh, I get it.
I mean,
I would prefer not to necessarily say some of the reasons why our legal went so far.
well, why are you guys projecting 40,000 when it was only 25 last year?
Because right now we're in the middle of needing litigation on 3 or 4 different cases, and we settled one case just by writing a check, because if you hired a lawyer to deal with it, it'd cost you a small fortune, so you might as well give the guy the $6,700 or whatever that was, because you weren't gonna win in the litigation because it was an error within the department,
That's understandable.
you know, and the hopes and intents are that that would somewhat correct itself now that we're not actually, but the moment we try to collect on what another township owes us, the legal will go up. So you gotta have the money there so you're able to even have the lawyer make the phone call or letter to settle.
So Taylor and Swift, not the lawyer, right, was our previous attorney?
Foster.
Foster Swift, sorry. See, I was going Taylor Swift. Sorry. Yeah.
Foster Swift.
Well, they began the Fraser Township collection from what Supervisor Eddie said, the previous
I
lawyer.
believe they were talked to about it. I don't believe they ever got to
They
the
asked for some
actual.
additional documents.
They never received nothing.
Yeah.
They were.
All additional documents were given to the supervisor and sent to Foster Swift.
I mean, the board was not informed about anything further on
would it not have made sense for the board to continue open discussions with that attorney instead of starting over with a new one?
Well,
Let's focus.
Let's just move on.
the legal was a problem, and that's why there was a clean slate, plain and simple.
Legal was perfect. Plain and simple.
Say that again? I didn't hear it.
Said legal was perfect before.
Well, we never, no one else on the board ever knew what was
I
happening.
can show you every single.
I've heard that.
regulation.
But
But anyways, let's move forward
Yeah,
with this
in
motion.
the end, for legal,
56.
you're showing 61,000 has been spent last year, and you're only budgeting 40. So you're already showing, you think you're not gonna spend as much.
we're hoping.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's a risk in itself.
We got a $25,000 bill sitting there right now.
So I don't think they should lower the budget on legal.
When are we gonna hear about the $25,000 bill?
I gave it to Brian.
I had not had a chance to put it out to the board yet.
When did you give it to them?
Yesterday.
Okay, then, 24 hours ago.
Okay, so,
Well, out of the $24,000 legal bill, I believe that the legal needs to be bumped up before we close the budget. I mean,
And technically.
we're talking about transparency.
And
Get
hold on,
real.
hold on, and technically it falls under last year's fiscal year, so, or the fiscal budget from 25-26, because it's for February and March.
And the reason that the budget was amended as it was projecting for the February bill, expecting it was gonna show up, but for whatever reason, it didn't get put into the mix, we didn't receive it, so. And there was actually plenty of conversation of, did you get that bill yet? We were waiting for it, so that's why it was amended to put a little bit of a cushion in there, expecting that the February bill would come through,
So,
so.
So we spent 61.
So
That's-
fine.
Yeah. So what they're saying is we spent 85.
Quick on numbers that I had.
Just what I just
86
heard.
actually, 86, almost, 86 and some change.
Holy crap.
That's
So
a
I would
lot of
agree with,
firefighter salaries.
I would agree with Mr. Campbell. You should bump a little bit more into the budget.
I would say you're in a position, if we're gonna, I kinda hate to say it, but
I mean, yeah, the goal is to not spend as much, but do we have a history of doing that?
I'd say put 20,000 more in the legal.
We're,
If we're making budget adjustments, make the adjustments so
we're
the
still in
budget.
public meeting. I'm just saying,
I'm just,
I
I'm
think,
giving
We
you
can make the numbers change.
what's a
Yep.
recommendation there.
I get what you're saying.
Just saying.
Oh, yeah, it's, I don't know. Sorry, I got a little bit headache.
I get it. So,
That would be, I'm sorry,
76,000.
is that what you're recommending?
No, is that, let's change that to, from general? Like raising that,
I put
Well-
25,000 in legal, take it to $81,000.
The general fund revenues are projected at 1.2. If you get to the end of the general fund expenditures, that's where you have to look.
I'm sorry, Lori, can you say that again?
Page
My-
5 at the bottom.
Thank you. My brain's having issues right now. All right, what am I looking at here.
You want to-
At the bottom, it's gonna be a total of the general fund, which is 101.
Gotcha.
It's gonna tell you total appropriations, revenues, the difference between them, at the bottom.
So you're saying under 806.000?
Yes, at the bottom of the,
Mhm.
So how much do you want to take from this thing? Are we looking at withdrawing another 56,
I don't,
might be 81,000 from that to cover that? Which would put us at 1.4, 1.44? Is that right? $1.46.
Any more public comment?
We address those numbers, none of the board wants to address.
We're gonna address them in a motion,
Okay.
correct? Public comment? When you're saying, just one moment, so when you're saying address and pay,
The pay. We learned in the budget for our deputies and our fire department, flat raises.
public comment? Public comment? Public comment? Motion to close. Public hearing, make the motion to close. Second?
Second.
All right, roll call. Whalen?
Yes.
Eddie, yes. Shana?
yes.
Baldwin?
Yes.
Campbell? Yes. Okay, motion. Brian, you had one for $56,000.
We added legal to it though.
We added legal.
Just a second, we need to have a public comment, like an actual public comment, because it is a meeting. And then we go into new business, and then it's actually down under business.
Public hearing closed at 7:24.
Thank you, everybody, for your input.
Public comment, agenda only. 2 minutes.
I want to thank you guys for not going forward with the last meeting. I know I called out some technicalities, but there were holes in that budget, needed to be corrected. It looks a lot better. It's at least down the right path. So I appreciate, even since I wasn't able to be here, I appreciate you listening to at least my sent-in comments.
Thank you for voicing that.
Thank you.
Public comment, agenda items only. Public comment. Public comment. Closing public comment. New business, drains at large.
Just need to authorize the drains at large payment to go out so that settlement can be finished up outside of our normal bill pay. The amount is $2742.25. I'd like to make a motion to initiate that payment tomorrow.
Second.
And just for clarification, I'm gonna be stripping the check for 15.9, is that correct?
No,
No.
$2742.25.
Two numbers to
Oh. Okay,
No.
okay,
it. 2742.25, you said?
okay, sorry.
Nope, it's
Like I
okay.
said, I'm dealing with a really bad headache right now.
You seconded it, Charles?
Yes.
Roll call. Walden.
Yes.
DeShano.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Whalen.
Yes.
Eddie, yes. Salary resolution. Let's see.
It's part of the budget.
Don't we have to do them by each category, each person?
We have to actually do written resolutions.
Yeah.
Do you have them? I have this part of the budget, but I have to first off this type of amount.
All right, let's just move on.
You didn't help much on the budget, man.
Hey, just,
So,
Well,
last year, a lot of things were different.
correct.
Okay, resolution to establish Papua Township officer salary. The following resolution was offered by, supported by. Be it resolved that the resolution is subject to MCL A 4195-3 in the township that does not hold an annual meeting. The salary for officers composing the township board shall be determined by the township board. Be it resolved that as of April 1st, the salary of the township treasurer shall be as follows: $32,261.42.
Who was it offered by? Those were blanks. You have to
Yeah.
put names in
I
there.
know. Is there anybody who is offering this? Or is it by the supervisor? Offered by Supervisor Eddie,
It's a motion
supported
and a
by.
second is what it says.
I'll sign it.
Motion and second is what it needs.
Mr.
I'll make-
Walden.
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Oh, did we?
That was Charlie first, Eddie second, right? Did I hear it
Thought
right?
it was Eddie and Walden.
It's fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who said it.
Yeah, just do it anyway.
Okay.
What's your-
Roll call.
Dollar amount again, please.
$32,261.42.
261.42.
Whalen,
Yes.
DeShano,
Abstain.
Eddie, yes. Walden, yes. Whalen, or I mean, Campbell.
Yes.
Resolution to establish Buffalo Township officer's salary. Following resolution was offered by, motion by Eddie, supported by
Support.
Shano. Be it resolved that this resolution is subject to MCLA 4195-3 in the township that does not hold an annual meeting. The salary for the officers composing the township township board shall be determined by the township board. Be it resolved that as of April 1st, 2026, the salary of the township clerk shall be as follows, $32,261.42. Walden,
Abstain.
Campbell,
Yes.
Pacino,
Yes.
Whalen,
Yes.
Eddie, yes. This resolution is to establish Buckholm Township Officer salary. The following resolution is offered by, motion by Eddie, supported by,
Second.
you can't, it's for you.
Oh.
Second.
Sorry.
Alder, sorry. Be it resolved that this resolution is subject to MCL A 4195-3 in the township that does not hold an annual meeting. The salary for the officers composing the township board shall be determined by the township board. Be it resolved that as of April 1st, 2026, the salary of the township trustee Whalen shall be as follows, $5,292.96. Yes. Eddie, Walden,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Pacino,
Yes.
Whalen abstain. The following resolution offered by Eddie, supported by,
Second.
be it resolved that this resolution is subject to MCLA 4195-3 in the township that does not hold an annual meeting. The salary for officers composing the township board shall be determined by the township board. Be it resolved that as of April 1st, 2026, the salary of township supervisor shall be as follows, $32,261.42. I can't bring that, so
No.
Nope.
I need a
I'll
motion.
bring it.
By Campbell,
Austin.
and Whalen.
Yes.
Okay, roll call. Walden,
Yes.
Pacino,
Yes.
Whalen,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Eddie abstains. Okay, the following resolution offered by Eddie, supported by
Yes.
Whalen. Be it resolved that this resolution is subject to MCLA 4195-3 in the township that does not hold an annual meeting. The salary for officers composing the township board shall be determined by the township board. Be it resolved that as of April 1st, 2026, the salary of township trustee Campbell shall be as follows, $5,292.96. Eddie, yes. Pacino,
Yes.
Whalen,
Yes.
Walden.
Yes.
Charlie abstains.
Charlie abstains.
Yeah.
Okay, the salary resolutions are passed. Approved 2026-2027 budget with amendment.
Well, I believe when we had discussed this, we talked about, the changes that were made in the deputy clerk and deputy treasurer's salary had to do with an offset, that we were taking it out of another department, that we were just going to leave the amount that was in the building department for the support that they provide there, and then it was split up between the other two departments. So, the 101 money that was sitting in there, what we had discussed was taking that out and having it absorbed into building and deputy salaries. But that money is still sitting there. And when we had figured it out, it was figured out at the current rate of pay with no raise.
Correct. That was the office help rate. Because when Rebecca puts her timesheet in, she's hitting the office help hours plus the deputy treasurer hours. And then when Megan covers the front desk, she's pulling from the deputy clerk salary, her wages plus the office help as well. Does that make sense? So she's pulling from the two codes, funding codes.
That is why the change was made.
of raises that the officers got.
Which was
2%.
Which is the
Is that correct,
agreed
Chief?
upon amount.
That's 2% across the board, so we get every year. Okay.
I just want to make sure that's publicly articulated.
I'm not a fan of the current conditions, but I'm only one vote. Anything else?
We, I'm gonna ask it. So, we had a deputy supervisor, we didn't have a deputy supervisor, we had a deputy supervisor. And then, over a weekend, we now have another deputy supervisor, but the board never even discussed it.
I'm fighting some deliberate, some health issues, and I need help. You wanna pull it from me? Do it. Do it.
I'm just saying, you know, there was $1,500 that was put in there.
Well, 1,500 was amended when we had to make
I
all
had
of the.
6,000 in there, and before Greg Petremo came into help, there was only, I think, 300 to 600 spent out of that account the whole year. Sam had up to $12,000 in his deputy supervisor account that you guys passed.
There was, at the time when that was passed, it was a totally different responsibility. The deputy supervisor, when there was a deputy supervisor, had responsibilities to keep track of all cemetery documents, all Panem documents. That was why it went up to that amount of money, because there had never been a deputy supervisor. When I was first elected, we did not have a deputy supervisor. And then, when the transfer took place, and Greg became a deputy to Sherry, or I think. when-
No, Molly became the deputy supervisor, then Sherry became the deputy clerk under
Yes, she-
Greg so that she could
Correct.
take over when Greg did leave. And
Thank
then
you.
Molly went back to the deputy clerk, and then that position sat empty until, a later date.
So there you,
When,
you know,
yeah. So typically that was an empty position though. And the
It
amount
didn't
that was
exist. There
spent
wasn't
previously
even
was
nothing budgeted
$399.50.
There was, last year when we did this budget, Steve Gray was my deputy supervisor.
I understand that. It was a
And did you have a
budgeted
problem
amount.
with it?
It was a budgeted amount that was brought in. I'm asking.
I have a disease right now, and I'm fighting.
No,
If you wanna take it from me, take it.
no, let's
Just
just,
go for it.
just calm down. Let's just calm down, calm
I started treatments yesterday.
down. Getting
I
mad.
see where this is going.
Nope, just calm down. They're asking questions. Calm down.
Give everybody raises and take away from me. Go
Nobody's
for it.
taking anything away. They're asking
Not yet.
questions.
Go for it.
Just calm down.
You
All right.
needed help with the budget, and you were able to get help with the budget. When we had money that was in there, we knew what people were actually doing.
You think
We
I
had-
know what people are doing?
We had no idea.
Stop.
Well, yeah, you do. You know what the deputy treasurer, one
Hold
moment.
on, hold on, hold on. No, we're
The
not,
deputy
no,
treasurer
no,
has-
stop. We're not gonna argue.
I'm not arguing.
We're
I'm
not-
That is,
we're-
that's just what you know
I'm
how to do.
pointing out
Stop.
the
Stop.
fiduciary responsibility of each person.
We're not going to argue.
Take it away and move on the budget.
We're not taking it away. What we're trying to
Take it
do,
away. That's what he's trying to do.
they're asking a simple question.
And,
What
you
are
weren't here when
Gary's
they harassed my last
responsibilities?
deputy supervisor.
Everybody just take a deep breath for a minute and calm down. Let me ask you a question, Brad. Look at me.
Let's get this going.
Look at me. Now, how many hours a day do you need him? Give me a realistic number.
How many hours a day do you need you?
You're gonna compare what we do in my office compared to what you do in yours.
Yeah, in the treasurer? Oh, yeah, I used to do a lot more till these resolutions. Get going, just pass what
Wait
you
a
gotta
minute,
do,
wait a
take what
minute
you gotta
here.
take.
There was only one resolution that took away from you. You gave
Yeah.
everything else away.
How about we get to the point of order? This is the reason this place
Just
is
get
like
going,
this, and
take
why
it,
nobody wants to
and go.
work here anymore or do anything, because of I've sat and listened to this for long enough, and if it means you guys wanna run me out of here, but I'm gonna speak my piece finally as a fire chief who's been here for 36 years. I've sat here longer than a single one of you people have sat behind that desk. And this is the most dysfunctional group of people I've seen in my entire career. Get along, you guys. Your job is to take care of this township. I don't care if you like each other, don't send Christmas cards to each other, whatever. Your job is to take care of this township. That's what you were voted in for, so do it. Quit the bickering and the bitching over everything and do your jobs. For God's sakes, you guys. I'm 5 minutes from walking out the door because I can't get one single thing done for myself because nobody can do it for me. We're swimming over there, drowning over there in runs and people and whatever else, and nothing can get done. And you know why? It's because nobody at this table, I get along and like yous all, but you guys can't act like friggin' adults. Quit already. For God's sakes. It's a joke.
Totally.
Come on, you guys. You were voted in here to take care of a township. Do it. Quit bickering and worrying about, you know why nothing gets done in here? Because you're all worried about talking about each other. I have never seen the police in here making more complaints against each other ever in my entire life of being here. And I'll say it again, I've been here 36 years. It's sad. Just sad.
I'm gonna have to agree with them. I'm sitting here today because I didn't receive my paycheck. My family relies on the paycheck from this township. Because nobody could get it together, I'm sitting here unpaid. Unacceptable.
Yeah, me too. Unacceptable.
I want to keep in mind, we both work 200 hours in 2 weeks. Unacceptable.
Hopefully the three of you make your recalls, because guarantee all the fire department's gonna sign them. We'll have a new board that'll take care of us and the fire department. You guys-
Keys.
Grab the keys. So, Miss Class, you and your mom did a great job. We never seen this kind of stuff. So thank you for the service that you guys did.
So, the clerk is the temporary moderator in the absence, and then somebody can be elected.
This budget's got to be approved.
It's gotta be approved and we gotta move.
That's the whole reason.
He doesn't care.
Anyway, look,
please.
stop. We're not gonna argue. We're not gonna bicker, we're not gonna fight. We need to nominate a new chair.
Well. You want to take that?
No, I don't. I've got a screaming headache right now. It's all I can do to concentrate
I'll
and get this through.
nominate trustee Williams.
I'll second.
He doesn't suck.
Sorry.
Sorry, Brian, I can't. I just don't have the
Okay, so where we left off is we gotta approve the 2026, 2027 budget. Line item C, brought to our attention in the public hearing. You have to vote for me to
I
be
think we
the
have to
president.
vote. I'm
Uh,
sorry, yeah, for you to be the moderator.
roll call. Oh, sorry, Brian. Roll call.
Roll call vote.
So a
Charles.
motion was made by,
I made the
Made the
motion.
she made the motion.
Deshana.
Deshana made the motion.
Yep.
I seconded.
Yep.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we'll figure this out in just a second.
Roll call vote. Waldy,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Charles,
yes,
Whalen, yes. Yes.
you can't vote.
Abstain.
Okay. All right.
So the budget, Charles, do you have any more questions pertaining to the deputy?
My only thought in reference to that line item We had no job description for what the deputy was going to do. The only people that were required to have a deputy, according to Michigan state law, was treasury and clerks. Now, when we assigned in the past a deputy and a supervisor that were very specific, we knew what the person was gonna do.
Well, I think that the reason for some of the questions is that the deputy supervisor was apparently sworn in by the supervisor unbeknownst to the board on a Saturday. All of a sudden, he was in the office, he had keys, he was accessing the computer system under the supervisor's login. Nobody knew anything about it. The law requires that the supervisor actually notifies the clerk when somebody is sworn in by the supervisor. That did not happen. This all came up when it was payday, and the deputy supervisor submitted
I'm just
hours.
saying.
And the deputy supervisor had never filled out any paperwork, no W-4s, no I-9s, nothing for rehire. There was no documents in the payroll system for him. And then when those were requested, it was not received well by the supervisor. So that's why there's some questions. It never came before the board, and there was a meeting the Monday night after he was sworn in, and it never came forward at all to the board. So that's where some of the questions come in.
So it's protocol.
Yes.
Has he filled out the paperwork since?
Megan
Yeah.
provided him
Yes.
with the paperwork, yes. And then one of those calls to the police was that day because of the supervisor. He called the police. So.
Now, I'm gonna be Paul again, number one on this. 10 hours a week, $17 an hour, 50 weeks, comes out to $8,500.
If the idea is for the deputy supervisor to assist when the supervisor can't be here, then that should be the situation. If the
And-
supervisor's here for the morning or a couple hours or whatever it is
And
he's gonna
if
do, they
the-
need to offset.
And if the supervisor needs somebody to, again, he sat right here and said he's got some medical issues going on, I completely and totally understand that, and I am more than willing to support him to get better, whatever he needs. I don't think $6,000 is gonna be enough, my personal view on it. I'm gonna say that I think we need to bump that up to 85. That, like I said, that's 10 hours a week. I know that the deputy supervisor also has some medical issues he's working through, and watching the workload that he's been doing over the last couple of weeks, he's been averaging right around 10 hours, 12 hours a week, so I'm comfortable saying 10 hours a week at $17 an hour per 50 weeks because we have the 2-week shutdown during the Christmas timeframe when the only people that actually have to be here is the treasurer. So that comes out to about $8,500. And I'm comfortable putting that on the table saying I'd like to increase that budget. I think that's a fair number.
These last few weeks, he's the one that actually created the budget.
Exactly.
So, once the budget is created, the
But there
necessity
might be other things that he's got, that he's working on for the supervisor that we may not know about, and I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. I have to do that. Just like there are things that my deputy and I work on in our office that you guys don't know about, just like there's stuff the deputy treasurer and the treasurer and the deputy treasurer work on that we don't know
the
about.
mandatory piece of the clerk and the treasurer's office spells out what your
I
deputy's
understand that.
responsibilities are. We have no spelled out responsibilities for the supervisor's deputy. Unless something is spelled out, I will not support it, because that's the problem. You don't just, I mean,
And
we just heard everybody say, fire department didn't get, substantial raises, but yet we're gonna say somebody can be here 10 hours a week with no assigned responsibilities. That's a problem.
And that is actually the fiduciary responsibility of the board, is to approve the job responsibilities and the compensation.
Because we
for
can't pay
that
you
position.
without knowing what your responsibility is.
And at this point, he has been here, but I would say 70% of the time, he and Brad are here at the exact same time, and then they leave at about the same time. So if the the idea is for him to
That's it.
offset because Brad can't be here, then that's how it should actually work, instead of the two of them being here for a few hours and then both of them leaving. They're not providing any support office-wise as they're here. They're in there together with the door closed for a few hours and then they both leave.
Again,
There needs to be some
I've-
job
I've-
responsibilities, I agree with that.
I've said my piece on it, I'm not gonna argue about it, I just wanna move on. You can agree or disagree, that's perfectly fine. I've said my piece, I told you what I thought it should be.
Do you want to weigh in at all? You haven't really said anything on this.
Well, I know everybody was quite disappointed in Greg with the last budget and what we come into. I like Greg, I think he's a lot of fun. But in the grand scheme of things, if we're through the budget and he's assisted on that, I don't mind having a budget for him, but I don't want to increase it until we give him some responsibilities. That's where I'm at. In fact, I'd probably decrease it if it's to cover Brad and his illness right now. I'm okay with that too. So we can always negotiate it back in and change it, but he does need some job duties and responsibilities if he's going to be a weekly hourly employee. But if it's right now, if he's willing to come in when Brad's sick or when Brad goes or when Brad has treatments, I don't know what's going on. I think that's okay for that. So I think we leave the 6,000 in there right now and tell Greg and Brad when we work out a job description and some responsibilities, because I think he could help at the cemetery. We are behind on paperwork on that. Then we can increase it and adjust it accordingly to ours.
I have no problem. The only thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see anything else put in a drawer and not dealt with. We have,
Yeah.
come on, sit up here and let the people see your face. We have people that literally, last year, I had to go to the sexton to find out who died. Because none of it is recorded in Pownham.
So,
And Greg was the deputy all year. So if the clerk wasn't gonna do it, the deputy should have. And when Huron Granite called to say the foundations aren't in, the drawer got open, here, take this. The paperwork was in the drawer and I just looked totally dumbfounded, like, really?
Charles,
That's
let's
just saying.
focus on the budget.
Yeah, so let's leave it at 6 and move on. I'm not arguing about this. I said 85, I'm gonna stand firm on that
So-
number, we can move
Can I
on.
ask a question, please?
Absolutely.
We're
Okay.
in business right now, that's not how it works.
Okay, fine, I won't ask, since the boss
Well-
said no.
Well, actually, we have public comment, that's when people actually
Yeah,
speak.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just make the motion that with the necessary adjustments, so this will be balanced
On those categories that were identified.
in what we have established. So that's my motion to accept the budget with the necessary dollars adjusted.
I will second.
We don't want to put a number amount to it, adjustment.
We already
I
did.
have $86,000 written down here for
That was the lawyer add-on and the 56,000.
56
for
plus
the-
25.
The 3 in the negative, so let's do 86.
186, and then we're adding it to the 100 that was
Okay,
under there,
yeah.
right? So 86, but it's the 100. I just wanted to make sure it's clear on that.
How much are we
Yeah.
doing again, I'm sorry?
Well, the 100's already there, so we're talking 86 and then moving it over to those categories that were identified.
So 186,000. Motion to approve a budget with transferring the 186
dollars worth of adjustments.
of adjustments out of the general fund to
So
adjust for the
zero
tax
out.
revenues coming in
And the shortfall, yes.
and the shortfalls. Does someone want to second that?
I
I'll
think,
second.
I think Brian. already
I'll
did.
second.
Okay.
So, who's Charlie and Brian? And roll call.
Roll call vote. Charles,
Yes.
Waldy,
Yes.
Shano,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yeah.
yes.
Sorry, go on, Brian.
That's such a remember to use the last
Whalen,
name.
yes.
Yes, it's a little confusing.
Okay, ma'am, public comment.
Are you sure?
Yes, please.
All right. When you were talking about Brad and the other gentleman, his deputy supervisor, being there at the same time, kind of, sort of. Okay, well, when does your deputy work with, does your deputy work the same time with you two?
It's a little different situation,
It's her
but
public
you're
comment.
right,
But
I'm sorry.
but I'm just asking. And
We're
the
not
other
supposed to answer
deputy-
questions that would
I'm
causes it to go out of control. You're allowed to speak your piece, but when
I
we
am.
start engaging, it goes
I'm
off the
asking
rails.
because I didn't know
Yes.
what their hours, if they work the same time. And since you brought it up about Brad and Greg.
Great.
Yeah, you know, I just wondered what the other hours were with the other deputies. So, did they work the same hours as the regular treasurer and the?
Yeah, public comment isn't for us to
Fine,
engage.
forget it. Thank you.
Ma'am, that's the way it is. If you go to a school board meeting, they will not talk to you.
Oh, I know.
At all.
I know.
They don't even look at you.
I know, thank you. I think we should recall the whole board.
including the supervisor.
Thank you. Public comment?
Jeff Kless, 1371. I know there's some recall actions out there, and from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of really petty things being brought forward for recall, and yet I'm not hearing about recall for the last member here. Obviously, there are some glaring holes in not doing the actual duties of his job, and no one's willing to speak up about it. I find that pretty remarkable, especially given the people that are putting in the recalls for the rest of them happen to be just recently appointed to planning commission, recently appointed deputy, that kind of thing. I wonder if there's any control going on in the background.
Thank you. Public comment? Public comment? No public comment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Till
adjourn.
Monday night's meeting at 6:30.
I second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you guys for coming. Sandy, Lisa, thank you for coming. Rebecca, have a nice night. Thanks for the minutes.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, guys.